Um, it's great to see all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. And just before we start this session, I wanted to thank everyone on this call because this year is extremely important for the resurgence and recovery of our industry, and your support means a huge amount. So I'm aware that everyone on this call is a member of Connections in one way or another, and we really appreciate that. And it makes us extremely proud that you've chosen us to sort of help support you through this very important year. And you can trust that we've got our thinking caps on, we're innovating, we're working extremely hard to find new and creative ways to drive business to you. So thank you very much for that. As I'm sure you know, Connections is the international private community of trusted decision makers in luxury travel. And this is our ConnecTALKS, and it forms part of our quarterly virtual meetups. So every 3 months, we're going to do a 24-hour one-to-one virtual meeting event, which you're free to partake in as members. We still think virtual meetings are extremely important if done properly. We work very hard to try and curate them so that they offer great ROI, they make the most of your time. And I think also great for the environment as well, that we balance some of our meaningful physical events with carefully curated virtual initiatives. So very proud to bring this session, which is focusing on sustainability. I think as we're coming out of the pandemic, it's clear that there's going to be one challenge after the other, and I'm really glad personally that finally sustainability has that kind of spotlight on it, that we really need to make changes and make changes now. I think it's the biggest challenge our industry is going to see over the next few years, and I think our industry certainly has the right brains to be able to tackle such a large problem. And I'm glad it's finally got the sort of urgency, and that's testament to how many people are on this call now to sort of develop and increase their understanding. We look at influencers in travel as bloggers, as YouTubers, those kind of social media influencers. I think the real influencers in our industry are the travel agencies, the relationship you have with high net worth individuals, the power you have to change their decisions is incredible. So it's all about us upskilling, learning, sharing, and finding ways that we can change the decision making of some of our clients. So collectively, we can really make a difference. So we're really excited to announce that Connections is now part of the Positive Luxury Impact Network. And this connects with organizations and individuals around the world to establish and manage strategic relationships to support the luxury industry adapt to the new climate economy. So Dinah, thank you so much for this initiative. Really, we need custodians like yourself to sort of lead the way. It's a scary topic to address, not experts. And we're so thankful for organizations such as yours who, help us see the light and help us do better sustainability. So with that, I'm going to pass over to Sadia, and I hope you enjoy this session. Sadia, over to you.
Hello, everyone. So to all our Connections Luxury members and to all our friends from around the world, a very warm welcome to you. It's great to see so many of you logged on today. My name's Sadia. I'm Buyer Manager at Connections Luxury, and it's my pleasure to introduce our second ConnecTALKS of 2022, delivering a positive impact in luxury travel. We are fortunate today to be joined by Diana of Positive Luxury, who will be giving us her insights on how to better understand what sustainability means to luxury travel and how you can begin to incorporate some of these measures into your business. This session will be interactive, and so in the spirit of our ethos, I encourage you all to get involved and have your cameras on, and feel free to ask any questions in the chat box. So before I introduce today's guest, I wanted to mention that today I'm joined by my colleagues, Hannah Whitney from Operations, who'll be sharing information, spotlighting our session, and who'll be interacting with you in the chat, and Amanda Williams from Marketing, who'll be live tweeting throughout. Also a shout out to any of the Connections team who are joining us today. I'm sure many of us are getting more and more au fait with Zoom, but please can I ask you all to place yourself on mute, and if during the talk you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to pop them in the chat box. This session will last up to an hour and is being recorded. So if you have colleagues or friends who might find this ConnecTALKS useful, we'll be distributing the talk in the coming days. So let's begin. Sustainability may just be a buzzword to you at the moment, but it's a word we'd all do well to better understand if we want to take strides towards positive, impactful change. In August 2021, the UN published the IPCC's climate report, warning that we're officially at code red, confirming human activity is the main cause of the climate collapse. While traveling is so profoundly beneficial to our personal well-being, it is important to consider the impact we have on the environment and communities that we visit. With more and more hospitality brands taking steps to improve their sustainability, it is equally important for travellers to also take responsibility and travel consciously. Low impact tourism has to be more than just a trend. So together with Diana's expert guidance, we want to explore the role and the responsibility of the travel industry to drive sustainable change forward. We will be asking, 1, the steps to develop sustainable processes within your business. 2, how to better promote or market your sustainable products and services. And finally, why does all of this matter? So to start off with, we'll start with a poll. We want to know, how important is sustainability to your business? Is it very, very important, moderately important, or not at all important? You now have 10 seconds to answer. Okay, Hannah, show us the results. So, as we can see, the responses are really varied, with some of you placing a great importance on sustainability, while some of you are hopefully here today to find out more. So, we're delighted to be welcoming Diana, our Connections Sustainability Advisor. Diana Verde Nieto is the co-founder and CEO of Positive Luxury. The company helps brands adapt to the new sustainability economy. As well as founding Positive Luxury, more about that shortly, Diana holds a degree in global leadership and public policy from Harvard Kennedy School. She is a globally recognized figure in the sustainability field, honored by the World Economic Forum as a young global leader in 2011. Thank you, Diana, for joining us today to help guide us to a better understanding of what sustainability can mean in luxury travel.
Thank you so much, Sadia, and thank you so much, everybody, for having me. I'm thrilled. Sorry, I know you have so much more to say, but I could not contain myself to have such an incredible group of people passionate about sustainability. So thank you so much for this terrific opportunity.
Thank you very much for joining us. So Diana, you're well known within the sustainable lifestyle industry as a thought leader. So we really do feel privileged that you made the time to join us here today. I wanted to start off by asking what spurred you into action. You once said, sustainability is an all of us problem. I had this feeling that if everyone knew what I knew, they'll stop talking about it and take action. Because if we don't make the changes we need to, we'll be in trouble. So when was the moment when you realized how important sustainability was to you and made you want to set up Positive Luxury?
Well, thank you very much for the question. Actually, it was a very long time ago, pre-Positive Luxury. I started my sustainability journey in a very perhaps different way because I grew up in dictatorship. So I was very much aware of injustices while I was growing up. So I always wanted to be a human rights lawyer. But when I moved to the UK at 23 years old, I discovered that this country was incredible fertile ground, and that my world of opportunities from Argentina to here have exponentially grew. And that is where I discovered environmental technology back in the 90s. So my journey in sustainability started really when I finished my degree and I set up the first international sustainability consultancy in 2002. When people didn't even know what it meant. And I grew that company to 5 markets, including China and the UN, and the US. And then I exited the business and set up Positive Luxury in 2011. So I mean, I think that I knew about the fragility of our planet a very long time ago. And as a joke, my dad always said that I was born for the job because my surname is Verde Nieto, which means green grandson. So I have the sustainability part and the intergenerational equity all in my surname. So I guess this is, and I truly mean this when I say this is actually my vocation, not my job. So thank you for the question, though.
Thank you. That's really fascinating. So you say that it's part of your genes, but how would you like to encourage other people to feel equally passionate about the subject? Because realistically, coming out of the pandemic, a lot of travel businesses are striving really to just stay afloat. So the question may be that it's not whether they believe in sustainability, it's about how to survive at all. So what small steps would you say that businesses, particularly those who've been in the red for so long, can start to take their journey to becoming green?
I have good news for you all. We are about to enter revenge travel. And this is like, I wish I had a different voice to say that. But this is where we are starting this journey. If, you know, everything goes in the trajectory that we hope, and there is no conflict or, you know, things happening in Russia and so on, we are set. The travel industry is set for unbelievable success this year. And I don't know if you already have experienced it or not, but revenge travel is something to look out for. And if you still not have seen it now, you will very soon, because I think with the first paycheck after, you know, the holiday, blah, 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 February, this means now, people will start booking holidays. And this is something that we've seen from the other side in terms of working with many companies and how much time off people are actually taking. And the other piece of good news before we dive into sustainability is that people are traveling differently than they traveled before. So people are taking longer time into destinations instead of shorter times in destinations. They're looking for experiences, and sustainability is part of that. How can they actually deep dive into the local communities? What can they do that is good? And actually being highlighted how this hotel, the travel agency, you know, all the area of travel and hospitality is actually being part of what they want to do in terms of feeling that they actually are contributing positively to people and the environment, from local food, traveling public transport, integrating sustainability into your menus, eating locally, seasonably, waste, all of that as part of how it manifests for the traveler. Now, as a business, if we flip side, the most, and especially for a travel company, the most important area is energy. So if you have not signed up to, I encourage you to do so. I don't know, I mean, maybe we can do a quick poll, hands up. How many of you have signed up to SBTI, science-based targets? Not many of you. Do you know what science-based targets are? No. Okay, so the main thing is about understanding what are your carbon emissions. Do not spend money on offsets or in being carbon neutral or planting trees until you actually understand what is the baseline of your business. And for that, Natalie is going to put in the chat a link to science-based targets called SBTIs, which is a website in which basically invites you to sign up. And for the next 2 years, you have the opportunity to really understand what is your scope 1 and 2 for a baseline perspective. The other thing that we're going to do is we are going to put in the chat a link to our carbon report that actually explain what carbon is. Almost it's like carbon for dummies. Explaining what scope 1 and 2 means, and then what scope 3 means. So this is very, very easy. You might need the help of a company to do that in terms to understanding what is your baseline. But when you have your science-based targets, then it's so much easier to start understanding where you have to go. The trick in sustainability is to start with a baseline. Where do you start from in order to be able to measure your impact? So the first thing is obviously science-based targets on energy, and this is your energy consumption. The second point is ask where your energy comes from. How much of your energy mix comes from renewable sources? And if it's less than 50%, trying to increment that to 50. If it's more than 50% to 70, if it's 70% to 100. Most countries, except from France, are mainly nuclear, which is great in many areas, not in others, but you know, for the sake of environmental talk, it's very good. You know, most countries will have an affordable energy mix that is based on renewables. The second area to look at is waste. On energy, not just basically understand your baseline, but invite your guests to be part of this journey. How can they help you to save energy? And there are things that you can do, like put, you know, kind of motion sensors in the hotel, in the corridors and stuff like that. So you can actually turn the lights off when they're not needed. And if not, just invite people to actually be conscious about this and turn the lights off where they leave. And yeah, also with this, also think about how do you wash all the laundry. So wash at 30, be mindful in terms of when do you do it, in terms of times in which the tariffs are slightly less expensive and therefore less people into the grid, and then you have more efficiencies and put less pressure into the grid. But always invite your partners, whether are your guests or your suppliers, to really be part of the journey with you. The second biggest area is waste. And waste is, I always say, waste is a waste of money because if it's wasteful, means that you don't need it. So create an inventory of all the things that you're putting out there, and then understand what are the things that you actually really need. Because most business up to now, what have we all done is do things because we always have done them. But COVID has actually changed the mindset and hearts of many people and the relationships and the expectations that they have with businesses. So understand, if you're doing, I don't know, marketing and communications, do you need flyers? Do you need those stuff in the hotel? Do you need menus? Is it better a QR code in which they can do it electronically? What do you actually need? And how much of that goes to the bin? The bin is, imagine your pounds, dollars, euros, whatever, throwing them in the bin. So when you have that mental visualization, you will think how useful it is to start thinking about what do you do from a, you know, kind of waste perspective. Also, this is to do with your food. So I don't know if you have programs or systems within the hotels in which you can actually ask and start looking at how many people will order breakfast or will order within the hotels. Of course, you cannot do this to exact science, but actually forecast the consumption within the hotels versus just catering for everybody and throwing that away. There's no away, by the way. So from food waste, which is a massive problem, specifically now that obviously, you know, the cost of food is going up. The third biggest issue on waste is amenities. Most people don't want amenities, except if you have the really, really, really beautiful ones that everybody might want. But even those, a lot of hotels actually have moved from actually small amenities or single use. So think about that. Do you have amenities, or is something that somebody can ask on request? And that goes from cotton buds to stuff to clean your face, to shampoo, moisturizer. It's now expected that hotels have it on the wall and you have a refillable system instead of having amenities that you can put in your handbag or actually have open or what have you. And then within the room, think about what are the things that you actually really need. Do you need a lot of paper to print into explaining this is your control, or this is the way that you, I don't know, switch on the TV or whatever it is? Or is it better to actually interact with the consumer in an electronic way? So you have their email address, ask their permission when they check in, and see what is the dialogue that you can create with the consumer. And I have a very brilliant case study, which is a hotel called Eden Loch in Scotland, It's a small boutique hotel in Scotland, and everything has been done electronically, to the point that they actually email you to us, hey, you haven't been in Scotland for the last 6 months. Are you planning to come? If you do, tell us when you're coming. We already have your room ready, which is amazing, because it's something that you don't even think about going to Scotland. You don't even think about them. But when you have that, it's like, wait, they're thinking of me and they have my room ready. Maybe we should go to Scotland. So it's how do you interact and how you can start opening that communication, instead of please sign up for another newsletter that you don't want and give all your details away with and spam me. It's more about how do you use that electronic form to actually create really deeper connections with your customers. So I hope that that's kind of a good introduction on sustainability.
Thank you, Diana. So now we want to find out more from our audience members. Hannah, please could you share our next poll? So how actively are you marketing sustainability to your clients? Again, you have 10 seconds to answer. Okay, Hannah. So as we can see, there is again a wide range of responses. It seems as though there are some people in our community who are further along the sustainability agenda, and alongside Diana, our community advisor on the topic, may be able to guide others. So what we're going to do is dive into this topic a bit deeper by splitting you into breakout rooms. So everyone, here's your chance to get a discussion going. The first set of breakout rooms will answer the following. What processes do you need to put in place to ensure responsible travel becomes important to your clients? The second lot of breakout rooms will answer the following. How do you plan to better educate your clients about responsible travel, and what information do you need to do this? You will have up to 10 minutes to discuss your topic, and we will then join up to report back on the discussion. Please nominate someone to take notes and to put the notes in the chat on your return.
Hello.
We could have talked for like another hour.
Yeah, at least. Yes.
So much to say.
I was asked, yes.
Yeah, we do.
They went really fast, the 10 minutes. Lots to learn.
Time flies when you have fun.
I don't know.
That's true.
I hope it was a productive conversation. It sounds as though it was. I managed to jump into a couple of rooms to see how everything was going. I can see that some of the groups are adding their comments into the chat, which is great. Thank you so much. We do have 2 or 3 minutes for the chance for Diana to kind of have a read of your comments and answer any questions that you have, and hopefully we'll have the chance at the end as well to have a more in-depth Q&A. But as always, Diana is part of our community, so if there is a discussion that you want to have going forward that's more pertinent to your business, please feel free to reach out directly to Diana after this session, and I'm sure she'll be happy to have a chat with you as well and offer any advice. So Diana, would you like to answer any of the comments that you can see in the chat?
I'm reading.
I can see feedback in the chat. So we've got our feedback from group 3, and then I can see Lara's put group 4 feedback.
Okay, yes, I see group Lara's. So all interested in learning more, and they're interested, most have seen the trend from the hotels. Some clients are sent to us for sustainable travel. Yes, I mean, sustainable travel is definitely the key, and because consumers are asking for it. So yeah, this is kind of a migration, and that will become the norm as well. So sustainable travel is definitely going to become the norm. A huge power sits with us and the strength that lies in marketing. Absolutely. the trade has a role to play in ensuring there is a positive demand for sustainable and responsible options. Absolutely. Encourage two things with travel. Have a good time. Absolutely, yes. And some tequila. Do something amazing like restoring ecosystems. Absolutely. And taking public transport when possible, and minimizing your impact in terms of taking refillable bottles when possible, and filter water from hotels, and of course eating locally, visiting local communities, talking to local artists, buying from local artisans or local shops, and experience the real country instead of the Starbucks in Mexico or the Starbucks in Argentina. Nothing wrong with Starbucks, but there is a place and a time for that. So if you're going to Colombia, enjoy the Colombian coffee. If you're going to Argentina, eat meat and dulce de leche, with moderation meat, by the way. Anyhow, most advisors are unfamiliar but have experiences in their travels. And then group 6, turning paper process more easy and attractive for the clients. Absolutely. Especially also is cheaper. So electronic form, text, WhatsApp is very familiar. I mean, people quite like that. So why not? Making clients aware of your sustainability process in an easy way and smooth. Absolutely. But make sure that you underpin those by facts. So we certify companies, and the reason why we certify companies is because everything that you say is underpinned by facts, and there is absolutely no doubt that what you're saying is valid and you're not greenwashing. Turning sustainable certifications more accessible, absolutely. You should check out Positive Luxury, by the way. Not necessarily, but if you want to. Refillable bottles refillable bottles, I feel very passionate about plastic, and we have a dependency of plastic like I have a dependency on chocolate. We need to stop that. And there is countries in which the water have heavy metals if it's from the tap, but actually hotels can have filtration systems that you can actually have filtered water. So definitely taking the dependency of bottled water is an absolute must, especially on the tables. If you go into a hotel or restaurant, don't give me a bottle of any brand. Give me your refillable bottle with your bottle with filter water or soda water. But think about giving up plastic as you would give up carbs, in the beginning of the year. Going property to property.
Thank you, Diana. Sorry, I think we're going to have to move to the next section, but
okay.
I really love the breadth of the discussion points that everyone has raised, and I think this is really the beginning of a really engaging conversation that hopefully we can have. But as you mentioned, there are some accreditations that are out there, so we will touch upon that in a minute. I just want to recap over what we've discussed today. So far, we've looked at why sustainability should matter to all of us in the travel industry. And we've also thought about the processes we may need to put in place to get us there. And obviously, once that work has been done, it is possible, as you mentioned, to become accredited so that you can market yourself to your clients and demonstrate that you are paying significant attention to the topic. So I do now want to hand over to Diana to explain the work that Positive Luxury does in this area. So Diana, please tell us more about your company.
Absolutely. But before doing that, I just want to make one little comment to Irma and to Mike, definitely about restoring environmental ecosystems, and absolutely, totally agree with actually report back, tell your people what are you doing and feel proud of your progress, even if in tiny little small pieces. Doesn't matter. Every little helps. Every step's in the right direction is a step closer to the goal. Sorry. Yes, of course, Positive Luxury. So what we do is we help companies to accelerate towards a climate economy. And that means to really help them to understand what is their impact in the environment. So I don't know if you have a presentation that we can share. It's probably easier to do it in that way. And if you can go to the next slide. I will be quick on this because I mean, death by powerful enough at this time. It's 5 o'clock here. You probably don't want that. If we can go to the next slide, thank you.
Suddenly, saving our planet is within reach. We've worked out all the problems. We're working on all the solutions. Most of them we can do now, and over time, all of them help the economy. Our population growth is actually slowing down, and by the end of the century, it will plateau. There's never been a better opportunity to take control. The plan is obvious. Stop doing the damaging stuff. Roll out the new green tech and systems as they arrive. Stabilize the human population as low as we fairly can. Keep hold of the natural wealth we have currently got. And in 80 years' time, we'll be past the worst of it. More than that, we'll have built a world with eternal energy, clean air and water, a stable, healthy world that we can benefit from forever. So what's stopping us? This opportunity is out of sight. Each of us is blinkered by the demands of here and now. Big picture, long term, they're not in our field of vision. That must change if we're going to change. We now have the choice to create a planet that we can all be proud of, our planet. The perfect home for ourselves and the rest of life on Earth. We have a plan. We know what to do. There is a path to sustainability. If enough people can see the path, we may just start down it in time.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy the words from the man itself, because if we don't look after our planet, we have no tourism and we have no travel industry. So this is why it's in our interest to really make sure that our first source of income is respected and protected. So COVID has been terrible for travel and hospitality, but what it has done is open the minds of consumers, but also the hearts of consumers as well, and understood a little bit more about our dependency with our planet. If we can go to the next slide. And when brands are looking for purpose, consumers are looking for trust. So don't think that you need to find your purpose statement and these big ambitions. Yes, of course, have it. But it's about how do you get your consumers to trust you, for them to discover that you put in your money where your word is, and actually you are really taking the steps that they need to see when they go for breakfast, when they go to the room, in the interactions with the people in their concierge, all the process that actually screams respectful, it screams fair, screams sustainable. So if we can go to the next slide. We work with all sorts of clients across 7 verticals. So jewelry, watches, travel and hospitality, premium drinks, retail services, beauty and fragrances, and I can't remember, I forgot anyone. But that's kind of, I think I'm premium drinks. I don't know if I said that. If we can go to the next slide. So what we do is the first step is assessing, is creating this baseline, understanding exactly where you are from an environmental, social, governance, and innovation. Then we certify you, and this is an iterative process. So when we do the assessment, we encourage you to answer it very honestly, like if you go into the doctor, to find out what your problems are, and then submit. And then we create a baseline in which we can start fixing those problems together until we get to certification. When you do get certified, it's about building trust across all your stakeholders and then future-proof your business. So actually understanding what is coming your way in order to make sure that, you know, you have a sound business, not just now, but also in the future. And if you go to the next slide, this is our assessment in terms of a framework. On the environmental side, we look at pesticides, packaging, logistics, biodiversity, climate, water, waste, circularity. On the social side, diversity and inclusion, social culture, ethics, community involvement. On the governance, it's about reporting, SDG alignment, sustainable purpose. And then on the innovation, we look at carbon capture and smart technologies. So we actually look at the business in a 360 perspective instead of focusing on one singular issue. If we go to the next slide, we also take in account 180 different certifications and accreditations. So for example, we are taking the framework of GSTC, we take the framework from Green Globe, etc. If we go to the next slide. So in order to achieve the butterfly mark, companies typically have to have 50% as a baseline on each one of the areas of ESG. So not an average, but 50% on each one of them. And if you go to the next slide, what you get as a result is basically understanding what are the last areas that you have to that you need to make them good. What are the areas that you are good, that you can take to excellent in order to be able to start communicating. And then if we take to the next slide, and we look at dynamic materiality. So we look at what is important and material to your business. So that is on the right-hand corner. And we look at this from different stakeholder groups. So your investors, if you're raising money, your consumers or your guests, as well as the wider stakeholder groups. And if you go to the next slide, what we do is we look at basically, we fuel a lot of the information with natural language programming and AI. So we actually can see from a wider perspective what your consumer are saying or are doing or are thinking when they are thinking about material issues for the travel and hospitality industry. And of course, we benchmark and report in all different ways. And that's the next slide, please. In ways that actually is very helpful to you to understand what are the gaps and how you can fix them. So in a very kind of short summary, what's in for you, what you need to do, certifications, why certifications are important, if you go to the next slide, is because basically you improve your business, you can save money, you can future-proof it, but most importantly is you build trust with your consumer. You can actually get investment if you want to progress or increase or expand your business, and also engage your employees for longer and retain them for longer. And also, of course, prevent greenwashing accusations and actually have a competitive advantage. So I think this is the last slide. And hopefully you have some questions for me. Sorry, I don't know where the hour is gone.
Thank you, Diana. So we do have a question, and it's coming from Janine, and she's asked, how can we create a marketing plan to promote sustainability for our agencies?
Well, first and foremost, it's about what are you doing from a sustainability perspective, and you need to look at what is material. So you can't create communication plans unless you actually know exactly what are you doing. So the first question would be, what will the plan contain in terms of what you want to communicate?
So Janine, would you be able to explain a little bit about what you would like to communicate to your audience? I don't know if you'd like to unmute yourself so that we could hear you speak.
I did. Well, basically, because it's so new to me, I mean, I've seen it during COVID time, visiting various hotels, but I really haven't experienced, like dived into sustainability. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm like naive when it comes to it. So what are the processes that I need to go through to be more educated in knowing about the sustainability and how I can promote it incorporate it into my marketing plans, because to allow my clients to know that we're aware of all this.
Well, low-hanging fruits, go to a knowledge page. There's a lot of reports that are completely free. Download them and read them. That's low-hanging fruits. And then really think about for your clients, what kind of clients do you have? I mean, what are your clients? Hotels? What are your clients?
Resorts and luxury cruises and things like that.
So for that is about, okay, what do you believe in? What is your sustainability practice? What do you want to do? How can you connect with them? And what do you ask them, you know, to do for you? So for example, if you think about Selfridges, like as a department store, Selfridges will not stock fur. They will not work with anybody that has child labor. Will not
Correct.
work with anybody that have Angora plastic bottles in the store. So what do you stand for? And what
Okay, so that's what I need to do, what my brand stands for in order to sustain the
and then what do you require from the companies that you work with? What are the things that you require from them in order to connect, to be related to you? So for example, cruises, okay, cruises are massively wasteful. So what you're asking them to do, I mean, the one thing is like, okay, bottled water,
right?
That's low-hanging fruit. Waste, I don't know, napkins.
Well, some of them use cardboard for the water, so they've changed over to, you know.
Exactly, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, polystyrene, that's the enemy. You know, disposable cutlery, make them on bamboo instead of making them for plastic.
Right.
There's so many things that you can
basically what I'm understanding is that I have to sit down and figure out what's important to me that could be important to other people.
Correct.
It's something that I didn't think about before because it's not a topic that was brought up, especially in the travel industry. So this is like totally new, and I think it should be promoted more to the outside industry to make people more aware of it, because I don't think many are. As myself, I really didn't think about it. I mean, I knew about the glaciers and all the other, you know, the things that are advertised all the time, but you don't think about it from the tourism portion of it as an agency owner or advisor.
Yeah,
you know, so that's why I asked that question.
And also ask them, do you have certifications? Are you part of, you know, do you have the butterfly mark? Are you part of, I don't know, Green Glove? Are you FSC certified for your packaging? So, you know, accountability is massively important.
Okay, so there's a lot of different components to this. Okay, very good.
Thank you, Janine. I actually personally love the idea that you have to figure out what you stand for, and then the small steps as well that you can take, because it can seem really overwhelming when you think about kind of all of sustainability. It is such a complicated topic, and I think we have touched on so many of the layers today. But I think it's given you an idea as to,
I think that's a niche in itself.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I just want to say we are coming to the end of our Connect Talk. So thank you so much for sharing your expert knowledge with us today, Diana. I think I can say on behalf of everyone, we have found this session to be particularly invaluable. And if you do have any further questions, please feel free to email myself or Diana, and we will try to do our best to answer them. And if you would like to get in contact with any of our advisors, then please do so via the community platform. Our next Connect Talks will be on the 27th of April with Chris Wisson of Altian, where he will explore what affluent individuals' travel intentions look like for the coming year. So once again, Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you all at our next event. Please feel free to end this call and take care.